Lovely to be here with you. Paloma, do you want to go first and just introduce yourself?
Okay, I can go. Hi, my name is Paloma. I am from Chile. My coaching journey started like really started maybe 7 months ago, and it was love at first sight. I fell in love, and like my heart said, this is the right path. I put everything, my intention, my attention, my time, my energy, my heart on it. And I think at the end of the year, I had my ACC. I first did a training with Radiant, and then another one with Ali. And at the end of the year, I had my ACC accreditation, and I coach every week, and I love it. I also have another job, another like personality. I am also engineer, but coaching engineering is because I love nature, and coaching is because I love humanity and connecting humanity with nature in a very loving and harmony. So yeah, that's what inspired me for being a coach. Thank you, Ali.
I love that. I love that. Brilliant. And there's information in the chat where you can reach out to Paloma, and it's also mentioned on the PowerPoint that we'll be showing in a moment. I'm Ali Hendry. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an MCC coach as of the 1st of January this year, and we're in 2026. Yes, I chose that date to do my exam. What? It could have gone horribly wrong. But it was a seminal date and I wanted to do that. So I did. And that's really where this idea came from because, seeing Paloma and the journey that she went on with her exam and then me going through the exam as well, we were like, we need to collaborate on this. And the certification that Paloma was talking about is the ICF Certified Relationship Coach Diploma, which issues you with 40 CCEs. So that's really useful for the credentialing pathway or credentialing renewals. And what else am I? TED Talk, did a TED Talk a few years ago, Survivor's Guide to Jealousy. Love talking about relationships. Worked for 20 years as a diversity, equity, and inclusion trainer and consultant. So that shows up very powerfully in all the coaching work that I do. And yeah, absolutely love it. Love it, love it. Okay, let us go through the slides. So I will share the slides. Welcome, welcome as you come and join us. Lovely to have you here. So that's about us. And we're going to go through the requirements, exam formats, some sample questions, the results and retakes, and then some tips and ideas and resources. And the point of this presentation is really to help you gain confidence in the nuts and bolts. We're not going to guarantee a pass, but what we are going to guarantee is an opportunity for you to think about the whys and wherefores, to think about actually, yeah, that's what I need to consider as I embark on this huge journey. And let's be honest here. When you pass the credentialing exam, you've demonstrated that you can take and pass an exam. You're already operating at that level from the hours and time and money and resources that you've invested in your direction of travel. You've chosen in the first instance to be affiliated with the International Coaching Federation, the gold standard, the longest running organization that supports coaches and the largest as well. So you've done that already. So let's not undermine the fact that you are already operating at a fantastic level in your coaching career. So the levels, just if you are brand new to this, I'm going to just skip through a little bit on the levels just so that we're clear on those. And the terminology, because it's like learning a new language. So, although level one, level two, and level three are called certified, we've got associate certified, professional certified, and master certified coaches. Yes, it's the word certified, but they're credentials. They are issued by ICF. I wish the C was I wish they said associate credentialed coach, because that would make it a lot easier. What tends to happen is people will first do a certification. So before you start working on your levels, you will get a certification or diploma from an organisation that is affiliated with ICF, that is accredited with ICF. And it's very confusing when what's an accreditation, what's a credential? Oh, I'm so confused. What's a certification? If you think about your journey, you start with the certification and then you move to a credential. Accreditations are to do with an organisation, not a human, when it comes to ICF. So an accreditation is attached to an organisation. Why credential? Well, these are the stats as of last year, 30th of November 2025. There are those numbers there. About 50% are level 1 out of the people that are credentialed under ICF, 46% are level 2, and 4% are level 3. So that's coming in there. If I miss anything in the chat, Paloma, do let me know. I'm seeing that there's something in the chat now. Let me just double check. Oh, yes, indeed, really confusing. It is, isn't it? Life could be simpler, but there we go. We are where we are. Why have a credential? Well, we are demonstrating to our clients, to our businesses, to ourselves that we are working on being ethical. We are following the core competencies. We are aware of the definition of coaching according to ICF. So it's big, it's important. Countries are increasingly becoming more aware of credentialing and are looking for ICF coaches. So I've certainly noticed that over the years where people are being asked for it more and more. Not so much, there's still a lot of education that's needed around people who are not working within organizations, and you're looking for a coach, people are looking for a coach, and they're not necessarily looking for someone who is ICF. So we've still got a lot of education to do as people are buying our services. What your credential exam is essentially doing is testing 3 bits of information, whether you're going for your level 1, level 2, or level 3. It's testing whether you know the definition of coaching, it's testing the ICF core competencies, and it's testing the ICF code of ethics. Those are the bones of the credentialing exams. So that's the definition of coaching, partnering with the clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process of coaching often unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. So that might be something that you want to make sure is present somewhere in your marketing materials or on your website. Just going to take a swig of water. One of the things that the training schools will work on is making sure that you are really clear on what's the difference between coaching and other modalities. I hear it in my discovery calls all the time where somebody is interchangeably using the word coaching and therapy or counselling. There's already a lot of confusion, especially counselling and coaching. There's similar sounds really there. So we got to make sure that they know, and we got to make sure that we know. The core competencies, those are developed to help us. They are a basket that holds, I don't know why I said basket, they're a basket that holds all of the coaching goods. And there are 8 core competencies. We make sure that we are embedding them. Your training makes sure that you're aware of what the core competencies are. You witness how they show up in coaching sessions. You're practicing trying out those core competencies. They are reviewed every 5 years or so. We've just had new core competencies issued last year. So we are sort of up to date on that. There's always lots of things that come in very, very quickly nowadays. Same with the code of ethics, being aware of what the code of ethics is, and that as well was updated last year. Lots more things on areas such as AI as the world is changing, and we are looking at the tools that are being used in coaching that certainly weren't there when I was starting my coach training journey. So those are the areas that you are expected to understand and to have knowledge around and to practice. In terms of requirements for all credentials, you may or may not be familiar with this. I just thought I would go over this very quickly. So you've got your training hours, you've got your coaching hours, you've got the performance evaluation or evaluations, could be one, could be two, depending on what level you're doing. Those are your coaching recordings that are either assessed by the school, if you're in a level one, level two, or level three school, or they're assessed by ICF if you're taking the portfolio route. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about the differences. I know it's a lot to take in. There's your mentoring hours, which you need to complete, which are helping you operate at level one, level two, or level three. And there's the exam. You have to do all the four things first before you get to the fifth one, which is brilliant because those things are funneling you towards the exam. You know, things like mentoring. Oh my goodness. If you can, if you have the resources, do more than 10 hours because you learn so much by having your recording assessed, discussed. You learn so much by being in group mentoring sessions and seeing someone else's recording or seeing them coach live and having that assessed. That's where you are able to learn those three things, you know, the code of ethics, the definition of coaching, the core competencies. They come to life. You know, we are learning a doing thing, so we need to be doing the thing. So all of those things are in all of the credential levels. There are different numbers associated with it. Obviously, level one, you've got fewer training hours, fewer coaching hours, etc. We did a free webinar going through credentialing in more detail. That is accessible on the AH coaching and training platform as well for your delectation, should you wish to join us for free over there. So with the application paths, again, I'm just going to touch on this just for those of you who are brand new to this ICF credentialing malarkey. We've got the training program path. So that is where you are signed up to a level one or a level two or a level three school. And they have already jumped through the hoops and ICF have said, yes, great, you're doing well. You're going to provide them with the mentoring. You're going to assess their recordings. You're going to provide them with the coaching, etc. Great. You do you get all the information you need. You're given a certificate or a diploma from that level school, level one, level two, level three school. You take your certificate or diploma to the ICF portal, give it to them, and the portal goes, great, fantastic. Here's the link to book in your exam. So that's one pathway. The other pathway is portfolio, where you're grabbing bits of information. You're grabbing different types of courses. For example, the ICF Certified Relationship Coach training course that I do, that's 40 CCEs. So you can use that towards your portfolio path. For level one, you'll be looking for another 20 CCEs from me, other courses that I do, or other people are available to provide that training. So you're gathering the information together. You're sourcing your own mentoring. You can get mentoring from our platform as well at a low cost if you want to. So you're putting together all your bits and pieces, and then you're taking it over to ICF, and you're saying, here you are, I've done all these things, and ICF go, great, fantastic. Here's the link to the exam. So different pathways. That's just to reiterate what I've said. You also get a PIN badge, which is worth saying. It's six weeks after you have got your credential, they post you a PIN badge. I've obviously still got my PCC one, but I haven't had the MCC one yet. It doesn't quite feel real yet, so still not on the 6 week mark yet. So I'm looking forward to that one arriving. So as I said before, the exam is testing the coach's knowledge of the code of ethics, core competencies, and the definition of coaching. Paloma, do you want to just give an overview of your experience of the AC? So you did the ACC exam recently, and I did the PCC/MCC exam. So it's the same exam for both levels recently as well. And I was just wondered if you wanted to just share your experiences around that.
Yeah, I did the 4 steps. I went to the credential school. I did the mentor sessions, I did everything. And then I had to study. And uh, uh, I was a very good coach. I am a very good coach, and I felt very comfortable with the core competencies. Like I felt they were part of me. So when I booked the exam, I booked it for 2 weeks. Okay, I have 15 days to study, but in my Monday to Friday work, I had a lot of things to do. And the truth is, I couldn't study, and I booked it in English because my first language is Spanish, but everything I have done in coaching has been in English. So I said, okay, this is my coaching language. And I booked it very early in the morning at 7. So I just woke up and did the exam. I didn't take my regular coffee, and I didn't study. I didn't study for the ethic code, and yeah, I didn't do any study. And of course, I didn't pass the exam. The first time I did it, I didn't pass, and it was very frustrating. And what I could see that was the most difficult part. The exam is not difficult, but it has this thing that, for example, they say which one of these characteristics are from the core competency 6, and you say, okay, this can be listening, but this also can be presence. And the difference, you can get it if you study, and I didn't study, so I didn't pass. And then for the second time, I study a lot. Like I took also the same 2 weeks, but I study, I think, 1 hour per day or 2 hours per day. I study the ethical code. I study in Spanish, and I took it in Spanish also. And I did a lot of mind maps. For example, what was easier for me was having the name of the core competencies here, and then here the what's the name, Ali? The things that are aligned with each core competency.
Oh, do you mean the sub competencies or the
Yeah,
categories? Yeah.
exactly. The sub core competencies. So, like linked then each core competency with the competency, because there are very similar ones. So that was very helpful. And then I pass. Also, I put in the next few slides. In one of the slides, there is a link to a free test that I did that was very similar and very good and free. So yeah, it's not a difficult test, but it's a very long one. So if you're not used to be in front of the computer for a long time and like very brainy, like with a lot of activity in the brain, then get ready, be intentional with the time in which you're going to do it, and
Yeah.
like to be rested. And yeah,
That's such a good journey. Thank you so much for sharing that.
needs
And we've got,
covered.
as you say, we've got a slide with some of the resources and the tips and tricks that you've learnt and you can impart to us here today. Thank you, Paloma. We've got a question in the chat, which a couple of questions actually. Someone's just popped another one in there. So, if you have the hours, 500 hours, yep, that's what's needed. Would you recommend going for ACC and then PCC or straight to PCC? Great question. So the 500 hours that the person is referring to is the training hours. Sorry, not the training hours. Well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Is the coaching hours. 500 coaching hours, 450 of those hours need to be paid hours, and the rest can be unpaid. They can all be paid hours, obviously. So this is a great coaching question. So for me, all I can do is answer for me. I went straight to PCC. I didn't pass go. I didn't go to ACC first. I went straight to PCC because I didn't want to pay twice, and you don't have to. So you can go straight to PCC. You can't go straight to MCC level 3. You have to have a PCC. And I knew MCC was going to be what I was aiming for. So I didn't want to pay for ACC and then a few years later pay for PCC. Also, I wasn't desperate to get a credential there and then. So my kind of reasoning was based around, do I want or need it now? Am I happy to pay twice basically for something that I don't have to pay twice for? So I waited and did the PCC, waited till I got my 500 hours. I didn't join ICF until just before applying for it, because you get a reduction if you're a member. The reduction isn't as much as that annual membership, but it is a significant reduction. And I wish I'd joined earlier. I really wish I'd joined ICF earlier because of all the resources and the training that you get as part of your membership. So, yeah, so thank you for that question. Great question. Great tips, Paloma. Yes, thank you for saying that. Lots of lovely thank yous to Paloma. And then we've got another question. Is extended time available for the ACC exam for non-native English speakers? Yes, we have a slide on reasonable adjustments and changes and amendments. And yes, you can absolutely request that. You would have to request it not before you apply for the exam. So you would have to be speaking to ICF and make sure that before you actually fill out the form and say I'm doing this, they need to know in advance that this application is coming with some of those adjustments. So yeah, great question. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, useful explanation. Thank you. Thank you so much. So as is ICF's want and as is needed, exams do change. There's been various updates over the years of each of the exams. At the moment, there is an updated PCC, MCC exam that you can take. I didn't. I took the old version. The reason I took the old version is because I kind of thought it might help me because I'd done it with the PCC exam and passed it. And I was like, well, it's the same exam, except a few years later. I might have lost a few brain cells with age, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to pass it again. And the other thing is, if you take the new exam, and with the old exam and also with ACC, you get the results within 24 hours. Whereas if you're in the pilot for the new exam, you get your results in April. And I was like, nah. I've waited this long. I've waited this long, so I'm not going to do the new one. But that again is completely your choice if you want to do the new one. Okay, I see there's some more questions. I will absolutely get to you. So here is a slide with too many words on it. Basically, you will get copies of the slides if you are interested. So that just gives you a little bit of an overview. And Paloma, you explained it much better than this slide is doing any justice to. It's basically saying, know what the ICF core competencies are and know how they might be mapped to different scenarios. Let me just check what the messages are. Yes, choosing the best answer will hopefully be relatively okay. What criteria do you use to choose the worst answer? That is a great question. Anything that you wanted to say on that, Paloma?
There are three types of questions as we saw in the former slide. If you got in your heart the code of ethics, then you know that, for example, confidentiality and all the parts knowing it's essential. So like that would be the path that you take. And also about the core competencies ones is like the less related for the worst one, and the criteria it's easy
Yeah.
because the worst it's like really 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 non-related, or if or you or like representing a really really bad coach or not a coach at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And the slides got a little bit of that as well. The worst would be where you're completely ignoring the issue, you're taking sides, you're ending the coaching relationship too quickly. The next, there's a slide about the PCC/MCC worst and best as well. So that's coming your way if that's also, I don't know what level the person who asked the question is going for. So let's do this, people. Pop the answer in the chat. What do you reckon? No judgment here. You're on a journey. We're all on a journey. So this is the question, ACC sample question. A coach is aware of a conflict of interest in working with a client and their employer. What should the coach do first? So look at that. The coach do first. Yeah, that's critical there. So it's a lot of words. It can be very confusing, and it's difficult because we do need to slow down, and we all take in information in different ways. Again, there's a slide with any adjustments that you might be requesting. You know, if the way that you take in information, you process information is you need support around that, then you will be given extra time. So what do we reckon? Put it in the chat. A, B, C, or D. A coach is aware of a conflict of interest in working with a client and their employer. What should the coach do first? Should they? A, terminate the contract with both parties. B, prioritize the needs of the client over the employer. C, continue working without mentioning the conflict. D, disclose the conflict to seek mutual agreement to proceed. So a coach is aware of a conflict of interest in working with a client and their employer. What should the coach do first? A, terminate the contract with both parties. B, prioritize the needs of the client over the employer. C, continue working without mentioning the conflict. D, discuss conflict to seek mutual agreement to proceed. If you're looking at this thinking, I am so lost, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. The first few times that I was getting used to different ways of questioning, I was like, what? This is really tricky. So that's the answer. Option D, disclose the conflict to seek mutual agreement. And there's a little bit of guidance there around where it shows up in the ICF Code of Ethics. This response demonstrates ethical maturity, transparency, and respect for the coaching relationship. I'm just checking questions as they're coming on. How long did it take you to reach MCC after completing PCC? Did you go for PCC renewal before getting your MCC? Me personally, I went straight from PCC to MCC, but that's because I was able to get the hours. So in terms of the number of coaching hours, it's 2,500 hours. So that's a lot of hours. And so I was able to do that because I was working with a training school. I had students who wanted to be coached by me because I'd been teaching them. I was setting up my own coaching school, which is now AH Coaching and Training. So I had a lot of access to clients. That's not going to be everyone's case. So how long does it take is however long it takes you to do those, to do the clients basically. And the training is 200 hours of training. So again, it depends on your finances and how long it takes you to save up for getting those 200 hours of coach training. So thank you everybody for your answers. Yeah, just checking in. Someone's saying in terms of the question, I think the key word in the question, SEMS, is first. Yeah, is that the way to think about it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're on it. You're absolutely on it. You're on it. You're on it. You're doing it. You're passing. Yes, that's so true. Worst answer is C. Worst answer is C. Continue working without mentioning the conflict. And that ties in really beautifully to what Paloma was saying earlier, in terms of it kind of stands out. And this when you do the sample questions, which we've got a link to, that's where you start to train your brain. That's where you start to, and on the ICF website as well, you can use, you can look at their samples. They've got a few samples with the answers and the explanation of the answers. I've got some resources as well that you can have around working out what's the best, what's the worst, what's the language that I'm looking for, what's the clues, and you decide how your brain works, right? So for some of us, we might be like, my brain needs to know what the right one is first, and then I can look at what's the worst one. Or your brain, you might have a brain that says, I need to know what's definitely the worst one, and then I'll be able to work out the best one, or then I'll be able to hone it down. So it's trial and error with you thinking about how your wonderful brain works. Is it a big difference between the ACC and PCC exam? Great question. So if we go back to the, where is it? Oh, where's my, there. So ACC exam is 60 questions in 90 minutes. PCC/MCC exam is 78 questions in 180 minutes. So there is a difference in terms of numbers and length. And I've never done the ACC exam. So, and Paloma hasn't done the PCC/MCC exam. So between us, we haven't done both. But having looked at the materials for ACC and PCC/MCC, I think, and I might be wrong, there might be people in this space who've got more experience around that. There is more, you're given much more complexity of the scenarios. I don't know, it's difficult to judge really. Paloma, I don't know if you've got anything to add on that from what you know about whether the questions,
And
yeah,
it's not only a knowledge base, it's also you have to judge some situations
yeah,
in the ACC. Um, but like I can only say you will have four options also, and there were it's gonna be two options that has nothing to do that like that you can discard them, and then you have two options that might be, and then you have to choose between these two that are more similar.
yeah.
There is nothing to be written, only to multiple choices.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, there's a request for the free test. Yes, absolutely. We have got that. It's linked in the PowerPoint and we can get that to you. Absolutely no problem. Thank you for asking for that.
Can I answer, Ali, the question why I did the ACC and why I didn't wait for the
Yes,
PCC?
please do.
I am,
Sorry, I missed that.
no, it's okay. I am in Chile, in South America, and ICF is not a thing here. So I could have a coaching degree, like a certification from the school, and I could be a coach anyway. But I wanted to say I am a ICF certified coach because for me it was important to to prove myself. I don't know, and because in Chile it's not a thing, and my like 90% of my clients are from Chile. I am not sure if I am going to keep going to PCC or MCC. Maybe if in the future I have clients from other countries, I might think about it. Or if suddenly I have the 500 hours and I feel and I have the money to pay the exam, I could do it just like to like a challenge, like a personal challenge. But here in my country, there is no difference in work-wise. I can work with companies. I can work anywhere, having or not having the ICF credentialing.
Yeah, that's a really good note. Thank you for adding that. That's really important to know. What is it bringing you? What is it bringing your business? How useful is it? And the country in which you are, how is that being received? So with the PCC MCC exam, as we said, it's the same exam. Again, there is that similarity. If you're looking for guidance for the best and the worst, the best tends to be around the who. So any of the questions that are focusing on the needs of the client, permission, empathy, those sorts of things. And the worst is usually when we're moving away from the who, from your client, and into the sort of minutiae of the details of what they want to get out of the session, focusing on the problem or the process. I have heard this said, again, there are resources that we're going to share with you that you can look at the types of verbs that get used. So the best are verbs like inquire, invite, acknowledge, explore, etc. The worst are things like tell, explain, suggest, And these might be useful for your brain. I mean, when I read this, I was like, brilliant, not useful. I'm not going to be focusing on those words because that's not how my brain goes. My brain just goes, let me get the flavor of what's going on here. Once I've got the flavor, then I can work about what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And then I'll be able to go for it from there. So, for me, even though, as a coach trainer and training people to be ICF coaches, you'd think I'd know all of the, core competencies and the code of ethics inside out and upside down. And yeah, I know stuff, but I still spent 2 weeks, day after day, writing those things out. It's similar to Paloma. I love me a spider diagram. I'm going to write out the competency. I'm going to look at all the things that are associated with it. I'm going to look at other models and resources that are. I listen to so many podcasts. I've got a link to a podcast playlist that I put together. There's like 500 hours worth. I haven't listened to all of it, but there's some really good podcasts that take each core competency in isolation and unpack it. And I was like, yes, that's how my brain works. I'm doing the washing up and I'm thinking about trust and safety, So think about, how do I take in information? How can I make this last? How can I make this have a resonance as I'm learning about absorbing the core competencies into my very psyche? And it's interesting as well how it changes, how it absorbs into other parts of your life while you're learning these areas. So here's a sample of PCC, MCC. Feel free to put in the chat if you want to, what you think the answer is. Your client works with a colleague who they feel is not up to the job. And your client tells you that this colleague is constantly making mistakes. Your client says that this is making their job more difficult and that the extra work correcting mistakes is time consuming. They also say that they're very frustrated. Your client is using extremely negative language about their colleague and has their fists clenched. What's the best and the worst thing to do this? Or what's the best and the worst thing to do? A, reflect back the client's language and ask a question about what they're already done to try to rectify the problems that keep arising. B, offer your observations without judgment or attachment about the body language, mirror back some of the language, ask what they need from the session in order for them to feel less frustrated. C, see the results are coming in already. You're fast readers. C, call your client out on their disrespectful use of language and request that they take some time to reflect on their negative attitude. D, say that you feel sorry for their colleague and ask how they would feel if they were in their colleague's position. So get your answers into the chat and we'll see what you think. What are you thinking? I see there's a question there as well, which I will get to. Thank you so much for your questions. Really helpful. I'm sure other people want to have the answers to that as well. It's B, offer your observations without judgment or attachment. A lot of the words in the answers, in the right answer, are lifted out of the way that the core competencies are phrased. So once you're learning those babies, once you are getting the language of the core competencies, you will recognize those terminologies and that energy that is, in those answers. So it is B. And then the worst is C. Call your client out on their disrespectful use of language and request that they take some time to reflect on their negative attitude. These bullet points on this slide and on the previous slide are part of a resource that I'm sharing with you with Jigsaw Coaching. I absolutely found Jigsaw Coaching to be brilliant for preparing me for the exam. They have an actual whole exam that you can go through, so you can actually spend that time, the length of time you'll be doing the exam, the 90 minutes, you can do a pretend exam and you get the answers. You get to see, well, why was it that one? I don't know about you, but well, probably all of you, because you're all coaches, right? You want to know the why. Why is that the best answer? Why is that the worst answer? And this handout goes through the whys. So it really helps you to unpack the decisions that you're making while you're going through the exam. I've got a question here. It says, if we are taking the ACC exam this month, are we being tested on the new core competencies or the ones prior? I was told the new core competencies will be incorporated in the ACC exam in the middle of 2026. Is that correct? I don't know. For my exam, they said that it would be the most up-to-date ones. Paloma, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, I would say study with the new core competencies because they're definitely more aligned with what we want coaching to be, and it's like an actualization of the other ones, but it's in terms of you may fail if you study with the former or the new ones. It's only like a language thing that I think it only make them better. So I don't think it truly matters. I was studying with the new ones,
Yeah.
and it was for last year, and I did it with like the former ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's nuances. Of course, there are some updates. That's the point of the update, but the broad strokes are still there. So I would, yeah, I would go with the new ones if it was me. But that's your choice, and I would speak to a few more people. Perhaps if you're in a training school, I would speak to them. You can always, I have always found ICF incredibly responsive. So you can email them from the website and a real person replies to you. So go on there, get in the contact section and send an email and get that clarified because it's a really good question and it's obviously something that you need to get your information so that you can make the right decision for you. So I appreciate you bringing that. Thank you. Is this PCC example question the same for the old PCC question or for the new pilot? Old. Yeah. Thank you for that question. It's a 1 hour webinar. I'm sorry, we can't do everything. Look at the IC web. Yes, okay, brilliant. People saying look at the ICF website. Thank you. Can we go with our scenarios that we don't understand from expert coach? Don't know what that means. Can you give me more on that? I don't know. Paloma, do you know what that means, that question? Can we go with our scenarios that we don't understand from expert coach?
I think they want to bring us a scenario they don't understand, and if we can help, I think.
Oh, okay. Let us know
I'm not
what
sure.
your right. Yeah. Give us some more detail and we will help you as much as we can. Sorry, I'm not getting it. I'm so sorry. So as you know, you gather all your information, you do all of the things that you need to do. You get your hours, you get your mentoring hours, you get your coaching hours, your training hours, you have your recordings passed, you take all of that to ICF. ICF go, brilliant, here's the link, schedule your exam. So you can either schedule the exam in person if you've got a test centre that's near to you and that's how you roll, or you can do it online. And there's a click link there, which when you get the slides, you can do, you can use that if you want to, takes you straight there. It's also on the ICF website. You've got 60 days to apply once your application has been accepted. So it's worth bearing in mind that deadline. As soon as, the game is on and you've done everything else, then you've got those 2 months to actually get a date in the diary for the exam. As Paloma said, work on what's the best time of day. You've got that choice. How are you going to prepare yourself? How are you going to resource yourself? Make sure that that is part of your decision making when you are programming in that time. And you have to agree to not sharing the contents. There's a kind of confidentiality tick that you have. If you're doing it online, so this is if you're doing it online. So as Paloma said, she did it online, I did it online. So I don't have experience of doing it in person. I did my PCC exam online as well. There are places near me. I could have gone to a test centre in Brighton, in where I live in the UK, but I thought I would get less distracted if I did it online. And I'm used to studying online and all my clients are online. So I didn't want to take it out of the kind of environment in which I operate, if you like. But again, totally your choice. When you're doing it online, they talk you through going through a system check to make sure that your computer is all right and it's got the right bandwidth. You haven't got any apps on it that might conflict with Pearson VUE. So you can go through everything in advance. You don't do that, have to do that on the morning of the exam. So you can get yourself prepared. I went through it twice because that's what I needed. So you can go through that test and it's free, obviously, and just make sure that your system is set up correctly. So I'm just checking the chat. Oh, okay. You did want to share a scenario. Would you recommend on-site or online? Yeah, I hope that's answered. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. It really is up to you and how you feel. Talk to people. Paloma, I know you didn't have the choice of doing it in person. If you did, what would sway you with your decision making?
I would have done it only because people is always distracting for me, like and being in another place, and the like going in car by car, like the I don't know. It was really easy to do it in my house, uh, but what I suggest is, yeah, you have to get inside the thing a half hour before the time of the exam, but I would suggest 45 minutes because sometimes there is a waiting list, a big waiting list, wait
Yeah,
more, and you, I was a bit stressed. Like, is you would never like they will never say something like, oh, okay, then the time is up, you're not doing the test. You will always do the test, but if you schedule for 8, maybe with the waiting list you will do it at 8:20 or 8:30, like it was my case
yeah.
the second time.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. We've got a comment in the chat saying, I know this sounds strange, but I was told if I did have a water glass, it would be clear, so you aren't hiding any notes within the inside of your cup. For example, this is more at the test centre's rules than ICF, but it feels a bit strange. Yeah, I mean they've got a list of things you can have water. I had a water bottle. One of the things that I was like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense, is you have to take photos of your environment, and if you are near a window, you have to draw the curtains because there could be someone the other side of the window holding up the answers or something. You're also not allowed to, and this is difficult if this is how you take in information, you're not allowed to read the questions out loud to yourself because you could be reading them out to somebody who's hiding somewhere who's then telling you the answer off camera. So it's yeah, there's things like that to consider. Is it possible allowed to have a blank paper and a pen to make notes for yourself? No, but they have, if you're, whether you're doing it online or in a centre, you're obviously doing it on a laptop. So you have a little scratch pad on there that you can take notes if you want to. You're allowed to, write some things down on their sort of temporary scratch pad if you want. Um, Okay. Accommodations and adjustments. I see that you've put in some, you want to have a chat about a scenario. Thank you for putting that in. Unfortunately, we can't get to that during this session. However, it is a really good question and do reach out to us if you need some support around that. So thank you for bringing that into the room. So there's some accommodations and adjustments that are available to you. What those accommodations might be is extra time, more breaks, having a separate room or a different kind of desk with adaptations, having someone who is reading or scribing on your behalf, access to any medical devices, accommodation if you're breastfeeding. So they are so much better at this than they have ever been in terms of what do you need, which is great. Of course there's always going to be things that they miss, and that's where we can keep educating them and say, look, do you know what, this doesn't work, we need to have this as an accommodation. And the results, you get them immediately online, whether it's a pass or fail, and then you are emailed within 24 hours, and then a couple of days later, you'll get the certificate, and you get your ICF online profile updated. You get your PIN badge. So it's quick. And that's whether you're doing it online or in person. It's not, you don't get the results sooner with one method over another, which some people think is the case. So um, that is the results. Scores we've got with the ACC exam, they are that you don't get any feedback on the breakdowns. You're not given percentages. You're just told that you've met the standard. With the PCC and MCC, you are given your scores, but it's really weird. So your scores, the number that they give you is going to be between 200 and 600, random. And a pass is if your number is between 460 and 600. And it's because if you pick, you're picking the correct answer and the worst answer. And there's nuances. So you're going to get some scores if it's the almost wrong answer, but not the wrong answer. So they do a very complicated, well, maybe it's not complicated, but to me, it feels complicated way of assessing how how you've done with that exam. Are the questions similar in the old PC SAM and the new pilot exam? Brilliant question. Don't know. Haven't seen it. Haven't seen it. Oh, we've got somebody replying on that. Thank you for doing that. My understanding is that half of the pilot exam is the same kind of scenarios, worst, best questions, and the other half are knowledge-based questions like the ACC. Right. Thank you. Thank you for that. If I would like to do the exam at the end of June this year, could you please help me a bit with the timeline when I would start the mentoring when studying for the exam or need to send the recording, etc.? Yes, absolutely. With mentoring, it needs to be done over 3 months. It has to be done over a minimum of 3 months. So that is already setting a timeline for you. You have to do at least 3 one-to-one mentoring sessions with a mentor like myself. Other mentors are available. And then you can do 10 one-to-ones, but obviously it's more expensive. But as a minimum, 3 one-to-one mentoring sessions and then 7 group sessions. In the AH coaching community, you've got the ability to join sessions in there. When we come off the recording, we can go into that a little bit more if you need some more support on that. I heard that another question, I heard that if you failed the pilot exam, you don't have to pay a fee to retake it. That's correct. Yes, I know that. Yeah, absolutely. So that's information on the screen there about retaking, and the timelines. You've got to wait 14 days after your first attempt. For subsequent retakes, you've got to wait 30 days. You can retake up to 6 times within 12 months. One of my colleagues passed the 4th time. And, so yeah, it's tricky because what are you getting? You're learning how to take an exam. It doesn't make you any kind of other coach other than you're looking at how you do exams. These are our resources. What is the path or best way to prepare is a question that's coming up. We've listened back to the recording because there's some stuff in there. What's the difference between the pilot and the normal exam? Yeah, okay. I'm conscious of time and we've got all these questions coming in. We're gonna get to the end of the slides, stop the recording, and then if people want to hang out and have some of those questions answered, please do hang around. We will get to them, but we won't be doing it. We won't do any more questions because I'm conscious of finishing the slides. So we've got those documents. They are going to be available to you. Your tips, Paloma, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, I think I said them already.
Yeah, love that. Love that. That's our resources. And there's a discount code there that you can access. And just finally, you are enough. I'm going to put some links in the chat now for you in a moment when we finish the slides. This is the last slide, second to last slide. You are enough. Even though they're termed levels, they're all equally valuable. I use all levels in my coaching. You're already operating at that standard of coaching. You're not a better coach the day after you pass the exam. All you've done is you've proved that you've learned how to perform in an assessment, right? So we see you, we value you. and keep accessing the training, the mentoring, the supervision for life. Keep doing it, whether you need to or not. When I'm doing my MCC renewals, I don't ever need to have mentoring again. And that is not me. I want to have mentoring again. I'm going to do more mentoring. I'm definitely going to do more mentoring as I work through. I'm going to get those hours in. So, final slide. If you want to, you can come and join us over on the AH Coaching and Training platform where we've got lots of free resources available to you. You don't have to pay the $49.99 annual fee ever, which is quite nice, isn't it? We launched in September and we're intent on growing an inclusive, accessible, supportive space for you. And I'll drop the joining link in the chat if that's something that is available to you. Okay, thank you so much. So let me just stick the bits and bobs in the chat. So these are the links to myself and Paloma, should you wish to find out more about us. They are in there. That is for you. And then I've popped the resources on on some links as well. Oops. So let me get those into the chat as well for you. If any of you are using any resources that you found of use, please do pop them into the chat as well. And then if you do want to join the community for free, we'd love to have you. Here is the link. And you can come on in if that suits you. Paloma, anything else that you wanted to add as we finish off? Oh, you're on mute. Hang on a sec.
If you have the requirements, the hours, the mentoring, just book the date and commit to study. Like,
Yeah,
it's easier
I
that way,
agree.
even if you fail but the first time, but then you commit and you do it. It's yeah.
Yeah. I would say the same. I was like, okay, I need to study for at least a month to get this right. I really do need to do a month. And then I was just like, just book the thing in. You've got 2 weeks. If you commit yourself, you can do this. You know you can. You've done it before in terms of studying for other things. So I did the same as you, Paloma. I was like, I need the accountability. I need to have the date in to work towards as it looms up in front of me. But again, that's just me. I'm going to stop the recording. If we have got any more questions, then please do let us know. Thank you so much for being here today.